Right. So
V, behave.
I do.
don't know if I believe that, but okay. Right. So I'm gonna go over.
Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna go over troop formation as requested. So, in regards to troop formations, we have. Ooh, let's go over here. So we have infantry. We have distance, which is strong against infantry and weak against cavalry. We have cavalry, which is strong against distance but weak against infantry. We have infantry, which is strong against cavalry but weak against distance. And then we have artillery, that is neither strong nor weak against anything. It's just basically fodder, is
Uh-huh.
the best way of describing it. So when you're doing your formations, what you're best looking for as if you're doing things against the computer. So say for instance you're doing a camp. Oh, right, so do we just search for that? How about you? Oh my god, KVK. Right, so we'll click on this undead warlord here, and if we
Yeah.
look in the top left corner, we're going to see that he is an infantry based mob. So if we're going up against him, we're best using distance troops. Does that make sense?
Yeah. 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 I understand all that. My specific question was related to I don't I've only just started using actual formations in drill grounds.
Right.
And when when I first used it, I set it up and didn't realise that there was artillery in. So of course I clicked on it and sent art to rally accidentally.
Yep.
But then I went back and changed it. Um but then when the next time I did it or shortly after, um my some of my formation was out basically gathering, if you like.
Yes.
And so I then just pressed, what is it? Not equalize, but the first quick select or
Yeah.
whatever button you have, and sent it. And usually it doesn't send artillery if I do that.
Mm.
But then Josh did then send me back from a rally saying you've sent arty, and I was like, I didn't think I had. So my question was really, what happens when you've set up your formation and but maybe some of them are out? Can it sometimes automatically fill with art?
Yeah. So as soon as you hit the button for equalize, so say for instance, I end up going for, you know what, just go for you. So if we're attack, say for instance, I was going to use my first march slot, which is just solely
Yeah.
for dealing with NPCs, and I hit equalize, it's going to
Yeah.
automatically add in stuff like all of the artillery and everything like that I don't want to actually have in that. So when we're
Yeah.
doing events like gates or spectre raids or anything like that, we'll try and get everyone back to get them back to their buildings, their estates. Is the word I'm looking for, so that they've got everyone available. Because a lot of the time people do have people gathering, and then it's
Yeah.
taken away your if you've got a formation set for just the gates, unless you have basically got like a full march of just the one tier, like the one troop. So, for instance,
Mhm.
before I upgraded my heroes, I had a full march of just distance. So, whenever I was doing NPCs or like doing events, all I would just send was number one, and then it would just be the case of I would only send distance. When I am gathering, so just a little tip. So, when I'm gathering, what I'll do is I will set a rally for, say, for instance, whatever I'm needing. And then once my main march is completely out, I will then just start going through gathering everything. just while those are out rallying, I'll just set
So you'd want something.
yeah, so that basically my strongest match is available because most of the time the NPCs we go up against are all infantry based. So when I send out for my guys for to gather, it'll just be the case of those are already selected and they won't send for gathering. It'll just be the case of that I'll join the rally and then all that's left is basically all the troops that aren't in that rally.
Yeah.
What other questions did you have about formations?
I think my other question was really more like when to use artillery. Like, we're told when not to,
Yep.
but when we do like Thailands and stuff like that, and even when we do um I've forgotten what it's called, Spectre raids where we garrison the fortress. Do we garrison with that, or when we're
S-
doing things like that, not?
so usually artillery is mainly used for when you're doing PvP. So say for instance you're doing Tidelands or War of the Water or Kingdom
Mhm.
KVK. Anything where there's a player involved, you're wanting artillery to be used. Because artillery is basically cannon fodder, or should I say that its strength as defense. So when you start going into like different troop sets, your cavalry and your distance troops, those both are attack based. So your cavalry and your distance, that's all about attack and damage. Whereas your infantry and artillery, they're all about defense. So
Right,
if you're getting attacked and you had to choose what troops you had in your estate, you're wanting a cavalry and infantry inside your estate because they do the most damage. As well, they soak up all the damage, should I say, while your cavalry and distance troops will do the damage.
right.
Does that make sense?
So, yeah. So, in say, if we use Highlands as an example, where I sort of sit on the sidelines and just come and reinforce at the moment,
Yep.
what am I best reinforcing with then?
So usually we'll be doing a lot of distance-based, like
Mm.
attack-based troops. So just rain with artillery, infantry, predominantly.
But does that then not slow you down if you go with the artillery
Yeah, it does slow you
to
down, but
get them?
it slows you down. But then also artillery are the best for to have on defense when you're garrisoning a building.
Right. So you, like if we were doing Tidelands, can you can you send out like your infantry first and then add your art later to speed things up or not?
Uh,
Does that mean?
it makes sense, yeah. But I wouldn't advise it. I would usually just try and send out an even march. Like so, for
Okay.
instance, when I'm doing PvP, like say for instance, I'm on War of the Waters and I'm holding a building. Most of the time, I will have. Oh, I've just messed all these up. Most of the time, I'll have something set up like this. So usually, I'll run distance, which is you. So usually, I'll run distance, which is basically predominantly going to be distance troops, and then
Mm-hmm.
I will have a good bunch of infantry and a good bunch of artillery as well. What my hope
Right.
is, so what my ultimate goal is to have as much damage dealing troops inside a building, because the people that are going to be reinforcing me, those guys will have predominantly like health based troops.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
I think.
that's basically most of your marches you kind of want to have like them even for health and for damage. It's just a case of when I'm garrisoning a building in an event, I'm more thinking attack based because most of the time I'm going to be getting reinforced by people that are more than likely going to be doing health based like marches towards that building.
Okay.
It does slow you down, but then in Tidelands, for instance, you do have like a 200% boost for your marches.
Right.
So it doesn't really take that much longer.
Okay. I think that was really all my questions. Thank you.
Right. Does anyone have any other questions, either about formations or anything like that?
No, only when you talked about last week when you had to combine the two heroes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Right.
that I need again.
Right. So with the new update, so I'm going to apologise in advance because I'm running an older version of my PC, which is just an Android emulator. So when you click on your heroes, you're going to have a symbol up here now.
Yeah.
It's going to tell you if it's bound or if it's unbound. So, for instance, I'm going to jump on my phone for a moment and see what it says. So, the way that the new update works is it shows you what the best pairing is for your heroes. So, for instance, distance and distance, they collaborate with each other and make your distance march stronger. It'll be the same with cavalry, and it'll be the same with infantry as well. So, if I go onto my phone, so we have Felicia, for instance, who
Yeah, I have only, I'm in KVK right now, so I
right,
have only Peggy.
right. So Peggy, for instance, is the same as they're all similar. So Peggy's bound. So for to activate this bound in the top right corner, what you need to do is pair them with another hero that is like that hero. So if it's infantry, it will be that you need to pair it with someone that is either infantry based or a heavy duty hero. So a heavy duty hero
Okay.
is like Swen. So Swen is what you'd class as a heavy duty hero.
Yeah, okay.
For to activate that extra benefit, so you would pair, for instance, I will use Peggy, for instance, because you're talking about Peggy. So, for to activate that boost, all you need to do is choose that march with Swen or someone else that's infantry based. After you've done that, you will then start getting an extra benefit of 5% spirit lift, which then, once you get the heroes up to level 80, it then turns into a 25% bonus. So what's happening? So once both heroes are up to level 80, you'll then get an extra, you'll get 25% chance of it happening. So does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah.
Right. So for instance, with me, I use distance a lot because it's what I've gotten out of packs is distance heroes. So the way that I'll usually run one of my rallies is I'll have Felicia and Tamir together, so that they are both distance based and they're both giving me extra what do you call it? Extra buffs basically. So
Yeah.
for Felicia, for instance, once I finally unlock her final skill, she's got a 60% chance of causing a shred effect. So it increases the damage that my attacks will do by 25%. There's a 60% chance of it, but that's quite predominant. Whereas Tamir, he thrives when troops are under the shred effect. So when I finally unlock that skill, it'll give me a 10%, well, a 20% chance to attack the enemy troops again each round. So they complement each other. So one of the heroes is causing a certain effect, where there's the other hero, it basically feeds off of that and then it increases their chances of doing extra damage.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, everyone?
Yips. They are totally quiet.
Ah, yeah. Apologies, I'm losing my voice apparently. But so, is there any other questions about formations and heroes?
No, not right now.
Right. Obviously, one of the more recent things that we've been testing and found out about is load your estates up with level 1s and level 2s. So we've always ended up saying to upgrade your troops so that they're the highest tier. But then we've done some testing recently. Well, I say we, two of people in leadership have done some testing, and it is a lot cheaper and more efficient to use just level 1s and level 2s troops. So when I'm saying that, what I'm meaning is have like a load of guys that are level 1 for every troop set. So for instance, so the reason that we're now talking about this is when you get attacked, level 1 heroes are the first ones to die.
Yeah.
And you're talking about, it doesn't matter if it's an odd based number. So say for instance I'm attacking someone that is only on tier 1s. My troops will be more effective against those, whereas if it's like someone that's on an even number, so say when I'm just about to upgrade to tier 9 troops, it then goes to level 2 kind of troops. But the main thing is that most of the level 1s, they can take out about, so for every 11 of them that get killed, they will take out 1 tier 10.
Okay.
So something to keep in mind going forward is that your tier 10 troops, like if you're getting attacked by somebody that's a tier 10 that is so high above you, it takes 11 troops of tier 1 to take out 1 tier 10. Which I know sounds like a lot, but then when you think about it takes you, what, 2 hours to train 1,000 or like 1395 troops at tier 1?
Yeah.
Whereas it takes them about, I think it's like 21 hours to do a tier 10.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things to start thinking about, if I'm being entirely honest. Also, speaking of that, we are now using anti-scout a lot so that people have to attack us. If they're going to attack us, they're going to have to send a march into us and take a miserable loss. So it's just one of those things where if you're talking about anti-scouts, it's one of those benefits that you have to use gold for to buy. You don't get them free by anything. You don't even get them at the Alliance store. You only can get them off of just spending gold. So for it, all you do is click on your castle, go to anti-scout, and then use your anti-scout, which I'm guessing apparently mine had run out. uh,
Yeah.
So all that causes is that the person who wants to attack you can't scout you and know what your troops are, what your resources are, yet when they go to hit you or attack you, they're going to lose a lot of troops for very little gain.
Yes.
Is there any questions on that?
Mm-mm.
No?
No. Not from me.
Right. So we've been having some questions regarding power-ups or benefits. So I'm going to cover that a little bit. So you've got benefits of attack boosts, defense boosts, peace shields, and like all your gathering ones, and also your march upgrades. So I'm going to cover this. These do not stack. So if I used an attack boost, used another 12-hour attack boost, I will not receive 20% attack. I will only receive 10%. It's the same way when it goes up to 20% attacks. So you can only, they don't stack. The only thing they'll stack on is if you're using your trident. So if you're using your trident, that's the only time that it will stack on top of that. So for instance, I get... Oh, wrong one. So when I'm doing my trident, I increase the attacks by all troops by 34%, and then an extra 17% when I'm doing threats or anything NPC based.
You can
That's
also stack your defense boosts. Like, not your boosts, but you can stack your armor with only one of the defense boosts available.
yeah. So if you're doing defense based boosts,
I heard only a half of it.
you heard only half of it.
Yeah, because just it wasn't really clear.
Okay.
You mumbled.
Okay. Right. Okay. I'll repeat that then.
Yeah, thank you.
Right. So going back into boosts. So when you're talking about your benefits or your attack or defense boosts, the highest one is the only one that really matters. So say for instance, I am running a 20% attack boost. I can't then use another 10% and then use that to start stacking them. If I do that, all that's going to happen is I'll activate that one, and then if I activate that one, it will cancel the previous one. The same goes for the defense. So the only thing that these stack with are your abilities. So for instance, if I activate any of these, you know what, I'm just going to end up using that. If I activate that and then went to use my armor, those two will stack with each other. And the same goes for the attack. So if I was using an attack bonus, I would use a 10 or a 20% and then use my trident as well, which would end up taking me up to an extra 50%. 54%, sorry.
Yeah.
That's that was just a recent question that happened. I think it was either today or yesterday.
It's okay, right?
Yes, I think so. Another tip that I would give you is make sure you're using your cuff or bracelet or whatever you call it. Use this every day because it's giving you extra troops that you don't have to train of each tier.
Okay.
It's one of the things that I've not been doing until the last week or so, but use it every day because then you're getting, whatever rank it is, you're getting 100 troops that you wouldn't be getting otherwise. Right. Any questions on anything that we have covered thus far?
No.
Stott, is there anything that you can think of that I need to talk?
I don't think so. I'll be sure not to mumble this time.
Yes, please do. Just. I'm trying to watch what I'm saying because this is going to be going on YouTube.
Oh, I gotcha. I don't know. I'm really drawing a blank on anything we specifically need to discuss.
Yeah. This is just one of the ones where it'd be better with questions, because I don't actually have. To be honest, I've kind of just thrown this training session together because I fell asleep today, so that's why I'm just kind of curious if anybody had anything to actually ask. Who we got in? Oh, it helps if you're actually exit full screen. Oh my god, I don't know how to exit full screen. Hello? There we go. My word. I wasn't sure how to actual exit full screen there on my... I was stuck. So is there definitely nothing that anyone wants to end up saying, or is there anything that you want to add in, Jock? Although, I feel like Tizzy's added in this this bot that he was talking about.
What?
Is there anything that you'd like to add to what I've already said?
It was just on the T1, T2 thing.
Yes.
It is much cheaper to retrain, well, to train up, retrain, and to heal.
Yep.
The T1, there's like an exponential jump in cost between T1, cost and time
Yeah.
between a T1 and a T2.
Yep.
So if people just concentrate on the ones, then they'll be absolutely fine.
Yeah.
It'll be a lot quicker for them to train up and cheaper as well. I also think that the split is 7 to 1 for a 10, but I
Right.
could be wrong.
I just remember 11 to 1. That was one of the stats, but then I don't know how much extensive testing you guys ended up doing.
Yeah. And that number starts to drop the higher your force is. So the more troops you've got behind it and the more force,
Yep.
the less the loss.
Yeah. Because I'm imagining that your research is through the roof as well.
I've done quite a bit of testing and stuff, but not enough because I end up sleeping through Tidelands or something stupid like that. So I miss the testing ground stuff that I should be doing.
To be fair, Jock, who's actually going to end up attacking you anyway? Like, in all honesty,
Me.
like, if I had to choose versus fighting you and fighting someone that is a lower level than me, I'm going to go for the lower level than me.
Sure.
But that's just me.
But I've been rallied a few times in Tidelands.
Does it ever do anything?
What's that?
Does it ever actually? Is it ever effective?
No, not for them.
I'm just imagining a meat grinder.
It's like I have had T1 at least 100,000 since I was probably Stronghold 18.
Okay.
So even before my force level looked big, I had those little puppies with me, and yeah, they stood well.
Stood well.
Because I didn't look scary, and people would solo me and go home with nothing, or they would rally me and have a couple of horses go home.
Oh, the way you
And
phrase things is always brilliant.
yeah, they only ever do it once.
Oh, so they learn from the mistakes rather quickly.
Yeah. So I mean, the greatest thing for everybody that's listening for the T1 is that if you've been able to pump yourself up, and it's not difficult, it's truly not difficult. You don't need to be a spender. You don't need to put money in to do it. It's very cheap. You can do a full load. I guess like 1,500 maybe is people's capacity on some, up to 2,000.
So I'll use me for instance because I'm not the greatest spender in the
Yeah.
game. So
It's like 3 hours or something, yeah?
so because of my everything is level 20, so all of my training camps are all level 20 at the moment.
Yeah.
I have 1395 that I can train, and for me to train them, sorry, I'm just going to use. So for me to train 1395 for tier 8s, it takes me 17.5 hours, whereas on tier 1s it only takes me 2.5 hours.
Which is, yeah.
2 hours 45 minutes, sorry. Which, to be honest, is nothing, and the resources that you spend are a lot cheaper than if it was tier 8s as well.
And so basically you can, without even sneezing, you could effectively train 100,000 in a week.
Yeah. If that was solely what I was going for, or if I was doing the Pinnacle of Kings event where it's the training, I was just going to absolutely smash the hell out of tier 1s.
Sure. Yeah, I understand.
Because sometimes quantity is better than quality.
Well, the interesting thing is that they have a higher force per time per ratio.
Yeah.
So it's effectively also 7-1 if you look in the stats.
I've got it's not something that I have is looked and deep dived all the stats yet.
Yeah, so you actually get more points for training at 1,000 T1 than you would get for training 100 T10.
Right.
Yeah. So the difference in healing your T1s versus your T2s is huge. When we did the testing and we backed it down, to heal one T1 troop took 4 pieces of fruit. To heal one T2 troop, it took it was like 100 and something fruit, and then like 90 something crystal, and it was like 40 something of stone, and then 7 silver. So it takes all of the resources to heal T2.
Correct.
It only takes a little bit of food to heal the T1s. So the difference is huge.
Yeah.
It's huge over like quantity, because remember, you're going to get bashed out.
Yeah.
So I would like to see, or like to think, that everybody's going to, power train over the next few weeks a couple of T1. And the reason that I suggest that is that we'd like to see, maximum involvement in the events, in Tidelands, in everything.
Yeah.
And what I've seen from this game and other games is that people of a lower power are reticent sometimes to go into those events, because they know that they're just going to get banged out by the other side and taken out, and it's not fun.
No.
It's not fun at all for them. What this does is it gives them a fighting chance.
Yeah.
What it does is that, well, what I've seen in the past is that if you have everybody in such a state, like everybody from every level, the other team will, do smash them out as soon as they come in, and they'll pick the smaller players and they'll go and hit them. That's the usual game plan. If we've got everybody stacked up with, a couple of 100,000 of each T1, that big player is going to hit the first person and hit a wall.
Yeah.
It will hurt. I'm not saying it doesn't hurt. It will take a lot out, but our players will still be left with all of their higher level troops to be able to contribute to our rallies and everything else.
Yeah.
What will have happened is the person playing Wampum Stompum from the other side has now lost a good deal, probably 75% of a full march of troops, T10.
Yeah.
And they're not going to really look at the stats, because they're going to have such an ego thinking that they've flattened you. They're just going to be moving on to the next person.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they realize, fucking hell, where are all my troops?
I get the feeling this has happened to you, Jock.
What's that?
I get the feeling this has happened to you.
No, it's happened to me on the other side. Like, as in, like, when we've had all the T1s, we've watched the person just, like, bounce around. And then eventually they write, fuck, what is it with you guys? Except that was in a game where they wouldn't get a report if they got no troops back.
Yeah.
So this also means that we're going to be staying in there a lot longer. Everybody's going to have a lot more fun.
Yeah.
And the bully will be able to sit on chat and just fucking laugh at them.
Yeah. On the back end of that is it's usually really beneficial to use anti-scout as well. So that
Yes, absolutely use anti-scout. It's one of the big things.
So if you use anti-scout on top of that, it's a case of they're not able to tell what's actually happened, what kind of troops you have. So if you're, say for instance, Jock's going up against me and I've got anti-scout on, he's going to scout me to see what kind of troops I've got. So right now I'm in between, so he's kind of going to be curious how many T8s I've got. But
I don't know. You said you're level 20. I'd just be scouting with my troops anyway.
Yeah. So when Jock says scouting with his troops, it just means attacking, not even bothering scouting.
I'll find out what you got when I get the report.
Yeah.
Can I ask about something?
Of course you can.
Absolutely.
then you would train a lot of T1s.
Yep.
And
Sorry,
then
are you asking the question of the interesting person or of Raver?
both of you,
Oh, okay.
you are.
I felt some shade thrown at me right there. Fuck me.
Altså, nu tror jeg lige, du skal passe lidt på her. Now, you're training, for example, huntsman, and then when you have a lot of them, you click on them and then just upgrade them to save time also?
No, I leave them as ones. Is that the question? Do we upgrade them from ones
Yeah,
to twos?
when you have a lot of them, instead of going in and take a higher level and train
No,
them.
not really. Like what I run in my account is at the moment something like 250,000 of each T10, and I'm pushing for 300,000 of each T1, and that's it. That's what I run.
And in
But
between,
my
do you
my
have
troops
anything?
hit hard regularly. You will have some troops that are a few levels down. Sometimes they're people like to use them as a meat in a march if they're going on something, but I prefer not to use them. I actually find that there's not a beneficial ratio for healing cost
Yeah.
Okay.
as opposed to loss on a
So,
solo march.
touching on that subject, so Jock, for instance, you've got a lot of tier 1s and you've got a lot of tier 10s.
Yeah.
Do you then subsequently have a lot of troops from tier 2 all the way up to tier 9?
I don't have any.
Right, so it's only 1s and 10s, that's only two that
Yeah.
the only two
I
troop
mean,
sets.
yeah, that's the only troops I train. I do have some 8s, but that's because I get them from the
Cuff,
um
bracelet, whatever you want to call it.
it's from the cuff and also from the
Rescuing.
the what?
Rescuing them.
From rescuing them, yeah, in the celestial quests.
Because
Okay.
we've touched on, so it wasn't until a couple of days ago when I was speaking to Jock that I've actually started doing my celestial quests quite a lot now. So having the extra troops has actually been highly beneficial. Granted, I've run out of stamina, so it's only threats that I can do at the moment. But yeah.
Yeah, but the rescues don't cost that stamina.
Yeah, but for to get to the rescue ones, you need to clear your threats.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You've got such a backlog.
Yeah.
But I mean, every day we've got quests for threats anyway.
Yeah.
You've got your daily quests, so they pretty much fill that.
Yeah. I think what my next video is going to be is probably like a routine for doing dailies. Or maybe my next training session, I might just do what the routine that I have for doing dailies is. And then see how you guys end up doing your dailies as well.
Yeah, sure.
Because,
I like a lot of my dailies to be cooking while I'm offline.
yeah. Like, so for instance, my gathering, I'll always do my gathering when I'm offline, or, yeah, while I'm offline, to be honest. So usually when I do my dailies, I'll start off doing rallies just to get them over and done with, since those are the more stamina based kind of challenges. So your 5 rallies, that'll be the first thing that I end up doing. And then while I'm doing those, I'm also gathering, and then I'm doing my research, training and all that stuff. That's all happening as a bystander to doing anything anyway.
Yep.
But it might be something that's no one's ever really thought of, so it might be something that we might actually cover.
Yep.
Is there any questions from anyone, since the master is here and then there's me? Man, that tumbleweed is fucking heavy. It doesn't matter how stupid you think the question is, ask. Actually, well, I'm doing that. I'm just gonna
Trust me, I have plenty of stupid questions. That's why I was sitting on mute.
Ask a few.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ask a few.
Okay. Well, just so everybody knows, like, no question is so stupid. The other night, I asked a question, which was, at what level does the sea monster go? So apparently, there's a glitch in my account, and I still have the sea monster that everybody else got rid of at like level 4 or level 5.
Yeah.
But
I
you
think it's
know,
level
it
10.
then leads on to other things, and so then I was like, okay, if that's that, so then I was like, at what level do we get the orb? Because I was thinking, oh, maybe I had to clear the sea monster to, like, there's always a million questions that we all have, and everybody should just be asking them of each other, because the number one, you'll get the answer or not, and you can both go out and find out an answer to the question. And number two, it will lead on to discussions about other things, and you'll be surprised how much knowledge you have and how much knowledge you can get from other people just by asking questions and talking and testing. Never be afraid to test things.
Unless you're going up against
And
Jock.
yeah, you can still test, you know. But
Although I'm curious, I'm just sorry. Your phone might vibrate in a minute. I'm curious if you practice what you preach.
who?
You.
You said my phone might vibrate in a minute?
Yes.
Oh, right, I know.
Must be scouting you.
He's scouting me. Only because I've only just like logged in. I would normally have anti-scout on.
Yeah. That's okay. It only says you've got 2 million troops. I wouldn't worry about it.
What's that?
It only says you have 2 million troops. I wouldn't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Although, Jock, where's all your resources, man? How am I meant to? You're not even like worth attacking. It's just pain.
That's right. That's how I run, man.
Yeah, I'm the same. To be fair.
I'm burning up resources all the time. Obviously, food. I don't hold any food because my troops eat it before
Fun.
they do anything else. So, just on that point,
I was about to say
obviously
that.
the T1s are going to eat your food. So,
So, touching on that, because when you were saying about training T1s and having a couple of 100k, I was just going to
yeah,
explain what the rules of your warehouse are.
yeah,
So, if you've got a certain amount of apples that is over your threshold of your warehouse, so your warehouse comes in handy for learning a few things, if I can find it. So, for your warehouse, you'll notice that it says that this is protected from enemy raids, but what it really means is it's also protected from your troops as well. Like, this is your untouchable kind of stuff, if you
yeah,
believe that. So once your food is at 700, like for instance for me, it's 500,000 for what the warehouse can hold, and then because of the alliance research that we then have an extra 227,000. So what that means is if, oh, for fuck's sake, the timing, man. So for what that means is that I can hold in my bar up the top, I can hold 727,000 without my troops eating it. So it's one of those things, once you start getting a really big march or a lot of troops, they'll start eating your food. So you've always got to try and keep your food inside your inventory and only use it when you're automatically upgrading your
yep.
buildings. Otherwise, it just gets
That's
eaten.
right. Yep. I remember like every day in the alliance chests and a whole bunch of other things. This is one of the big things. You look and you go, why do they give us so much food? This is where they
Yes.
give us all the food.
Yes. The food is, to be honest, I always end up running at a loss with the food. If I'm being entirely honest, it's the one thing that I'm always doing rallies for is food, because everything else comes naturally apart from food. because it just gets eaten, and everything requires food. So it is one of the things where I would suggest having a farm account for just food. So, for instance, my farm account, I have two. One is just a holding farm that just holds everything. Don't I get any ideas?
What's the name of that?
So in that farm, there's only maybe 1,000 troops, and they're all just tier 5 artillery.
Old MacDonald had a farm. Sorry.
So in my farm, I've got it's only 100, probably 1,000 tier 5 artillery because they've got the highest gathering rate. But all that farm is for to just hold food. So no matter how much food I put into that farm, it will never be eaten by troops because the march is so low. So that was one of those things where I would start suggesting have a farm account, but then also remember if you're going for a proper farm account, keep the troops down.
Yeah. I agree with
And
that,
don't
yeah.
forget to bang it out before somebody else does.
Yes. Like Jock.
Mine's not worth banging out, is it? So building it. But
I do tend to have a weekly upsy where I tend to open a shit ton of stuff accidentally.
Yeah.
But I'm not paying attention.
Well, Stott's done the exact same thing, opening, what was it, 60, 70 million food?
Oof, I've done it as well, man.
Yeah, I did it last
Alright then,
week. didn't
Rastafarian, man.
I opened 6 million silver and then announced it in KC.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah. I typed it in Alliance chat and then I swiped over to Kingdom chat to see what was being said, and I pressed send while I swiped over, and I just sent a message into KC, and I've just opened 6 million silver. Yeah.
And then there's Q8 just being like, say what now? Here, hold my beer.
Well, the thing is that wouldn't even do 1 round of troops, so I'm not bothered.
Yeah. To be fair, that's just like, that's pennies to him.
Yeah.
But has anybody got any questions about the topics we've either covered tonight or any general inquiries that it could be as stupid as you think? There's no such thing as a stupid question, only stupid answers.
Pretty guaranteed to get both of you, right?
Meow.
Ow! I feel like this is one of those damn shots fired.
How much Lego can you stuff out your bum?
Oh my god! I think you're just
How
gonna keep
much?
asking that.
How much what?
Lego.
If you never watched The In-Betweeners, Jock?
No.
Yeah, Jock, if it makes you feel better, I've never watched it either, but it's a weekly question.
Basically, the scene is that they're all sitting around having for dinner, and they're saying that they need an icebreaker, and one of them just turns around and goes, "How much Lego can you stuff out your bum?"
Oh, Lego. I was trying to work out what you'd said.
Oh, sorry.
Lego.
It's my lack of what do you say? Lack of vowels and consonants.
It's an Northern accent, isn't it? No consonants in it.
It ain't Northern, mate. But yeah. But
I kind of feel that was trying to be Scottish right there.
and one fucking vowel. One vowel for everything.
Oh.
What? And this is why I stay on mute.
I'm not saying a word.
you talking to me?
Oh, here he goes.
Right, I'm gonna stop recording right now. I don't think there's gonna be any more any more questions. It's just gonna be
It's a beautiful